couple weeks back, Sony was kind enough to host us at NAB, and we got to test out Sony's flagship, top-of-the-line Hollywood cinema camera on the Las Vegas Strip, the Venice 2. An 8K 16 stops dynamic range, dual ISO, super high-end camera, but notice how small it looks. And that's the thing that interests me most, the Rialto system.
I'm at NAB. This is like the day before. Nothing's open yet. Everything's being set up. Look at all the stuff. Atlas. Sony brought us out, and we're gonna be checking out a very interesting camera. This is the Venice 2, and this is something. You built these? What? How do you make your own cinema glass?
I'm Tico Herrera. I'm a cinematographer from Costa Rica. I live in Los Angeles now. And yeah, those are my babies.
So you shoot on the Venice?
Snowfall Season 6 was actually Venice 1, Venice 2, FX3, FX6.
I love that you're using an FX3. Tico, why do you shoot on the Venice?
Well, you just said it, right? It's the best camera. That's it.
All right, so that's the end of the video.
Thank you.
This was great.
It's a camera that I can do either Super 35 or full frame, right? So I don't have to choose from the get-go. You know, I can have this conversation later on when I test lenses, when I kind of like have my creative team together, even post-production.
And would that be like if you wanted to use a certain set of lenses for a certain look, and those are only for Super 35, so then you'd go for the Super 35? Is that kind of like...
That's correct. That's exactly the example of a Snowfall, right? It's a period piece in the 80s, and yes, we want to shoot with Super 35 lenses.
And for us, because we're super small budget, having dual native ISO was a huge thing, because then you don't always need like, okay, bring in the lights. Like you could just, okay, let's try it with the higher native ISO, and then see if that'll do for us, you know?
Dual ISO. It's incredible. This is the first camera that I use and that I know that it can do 800 ISO and 3200 ISO. Normally on a Snowfall or my projects, when we're day exterior, we use 800 ISO. And this is also amazing to have the internal NDs on the camera because they're calibrated. They're color calibrated for the sensor, right? So there's not gonna be any color shift. It's not gonna be like by the time that you are using a sensor and you having an external ND, IR ND on the camera that is 1.8, then it's gonna start shifting either green or magenta. And then you start having a lot more problems. If you have 2-3 cameras, everybody has different reaction. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
So now the 3200, it's mind-blowing. You know, it's something that not even our eyes can see. Definitely, like, you know, Snowfall is a shot that is most of the time happening on night exteriors. So we use 3200 all the time. It looks amazing. I mean, you see the show, it has a look. It has a beautiful look at night.
Has it changed the way you do your cinematography, having that option? Like in terms of how you light things and all that, or how you look at what you could do?
Yes, 100%. I mean, now it's like I walk into a set or a location and all I'm looking is like what I have to turn off. You know? I mean, my location manager...
Just bring in the negative fill. Bring in the flags.
The location manager he became part of my crew now, right? Because now when I go to locations, it's like, all right, all these street lights and all these buildings and this house and all these have to go out. Yeah. You know, we have to turn off.
I'm like, yeah, of course, 12,000, you just boost up to 32,000. But I don't think people understand that, like, for the real cinema world, like, this is all, like, this is new.
It's pretty new.
Like, I mean, of course it's new for us too, but like, to have it on the high-end cameras, this is new, and it's interesting hearing how it's changing the way you guys are doing things.
Even for myself, I mean, it's something that we cannot see that.
Yeah.
We don't see it.
Yeah, no.
You go with your eyes and you don't see it.
No, I was in Iceland last year with my friend, and I was like, we missed the sunset. We were like so bummed. We were like, man, like I'm not gonna get anything. I put on an f1.4 lens, put 12,800, and it was like my flashlight. I was walking around based on that, like, and I got the sickest shots of like reflection water at night times. Like, it was so cool. And then the next night, again, pitch black, Northern Lights just shows up, and I'm just snapping away, taking video, like no problem at all. Like, it was insane. I'm just like, I don't even have to try, you know? changes everything.
I think a lot of people try to achieve like kind of, obviously you're trying to get cinematic lighting, but also natural lighting, like the way, you know, that it would make sense to see something. And does that help a lot now, having that higher ISO, that you could get it like a more natural lighting look?
It's a lot more. Now you have both worlds, right? You have the realistic or natural lighting that it just happened by the ambience, you know, like I cannot light a whole street or, you know, a whole...
Like I'm right now. We don't have any lights set up. There's just ambient light coming from there, and it actually looks pretty good on you right now. We got dark side over here. We got some nice soft light coming from over there.
And that's the ambient, you know, that's what is available. So that's very beautiful. And I do work with that, right? That's my base lighting.
Yeah.
I create this ambient lighting, and then from there I can do my creative lighting, right? I enhance what I wanted to enhance, or I color what I wanted to color. So I shape, you know, you mentioned like bringing in a negative field. Of course, we start bringing like shaping lighting, and then our work is like now 50-50. It's what it's available, what I bring in to make it more cinematic. So it's a very different way of lighting. There's a different way of actually prepping and seeing the work, and also like the crew, you know, like it's now I don't use big guns, you know, I don't use big lights.
They also had this LED production wall, which was so high quality, you can actually focus on the background of the screen and it doesn't look like a screen. It's not moiring and aliasing like crazy. I think I need to do a whole video on this stuff.
You know how Mandalorian was like pretty dang good? Well, this is that technology, but better? What I'm really looking forward to is when that is going to be my YouTube background, and I'll just have one of those in the studio, and you know, I want to be on the top of a mountain, snow covered, like I could do that in 2 seconds.
Very quick lighting setup here. So I took the camera to 3200 ISO. We have sky panels outside of the windows at 1%.
The good old 1%.
Yes. I wanted to go even lower, but I couldn't.
Couldn't, yeah.
And then their key light is only one Astera tube. When I started, I look at it, and then I don't have control of some of these lights, so I use them as the ambient lighting, and then I start creating my own creative lighting.
Tico, can we take this out and
this?
This is what separates the Venice 2 from all the other cameras. It's called the Rialto Extension System. And basically, you can take just the sensor and leave all the other stuff of the big cinema camera behind a cable. Attach a lens, monitor, focus motors, and now you have a tiny full-frame 8K camera with all of the same capabilities of the big cinema camera. And this means you can do a lot of creative camera work. Like, for example, putting 6 cameras in a fighter jet when they filmed Top Gun Maverick. You just couldn't do that with other cameras.
Okay, so one of the coolest things about the Venice is that you can actually take off the sensor and put the lens on this thing. This thing's sick, right?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, the fact that you can actually have the smallest full frame Super 35 dual ISO, and you can shoot from 1 frame to 120 frames per second on a professional cinema camera this size.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, obviously the lens is even bigger than the camera. That's how crazy this is. Actually, on Snowfall we have 4 cameras, and one of the cameras are just designated to be in a Rialto mode. We use Rialto all the time. Those moments where we're looking at the shot, we're planning the shot, and then we're like, this is a Rialto shot.
Yeah.
And we don't wait, 5-10 minutes to go and build it. We have it ready to go, and then we like, bring the Rialto and we go. Sometimes doing it the whole shot with a dolly or a Steadicam, it might be too big. So we just use this and put it on the hand, and we just do a little bit of a move. Car rigs, always in all the car rigs, we have a lot of car stuff that we do on a Snowfall. So we always carry 2 Rialtos, and we put 2 different angles. We can bring it very low to the ground, and we just have this much to worry about, and it's much easier to rig this than just the whole body.
And you can get this in like spaces and angles that you couldn't get a whole big cinema camera
like
into.
Even the angles, you know, like
Yeah.
sometimes we'll just literally we'll use the Rialto just to become this, and the whole action will just happen in front of the camera. You know? Instead of digging a hole, you have a whole lens there, and it's just becoming our, you know, really our favorite piece of equipment on the Snowfall. Yeah, I mean the operators loved it. I love it. And
Of course the operators love it.
I know. This is all you have to carry.
I think I gotta try it out.
Good.
I think I gotta test it.
I think we should swap cameras at this point. You know? I will carry the camera.
You take this
and
over,
you
but
carry
I'll
this
take
camera.
try it out.
And you're probably gonna end up doing all the YouTube stuff with this.
Yeah, that's the YouTube camera. With the Tico Vision, of course.
They
of
come
course.
together. It
Yeah, it
has
has
to come
to. Yeah.
All right, let's swap, eh?
Okay. The Sony Venice is really becoming an industry standard camera in Hollywood. So many things have been shot on Venice, TV shows like The Ozark, my favorite sports doc series Last Chance U, movies like Avatar, The Way of the Water, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun Maverick. And there are some strong advantages to the Venice too. I also got to talk with legendary Jacques Joffre, who's filmed with Michael Bay on a bunch of projects and shot on Gran Turismo, Transformers, Lone Survivor, and I asked him about why he's been using the Venice.
So I was a Michael Bay camera operator for about 10 years. I did 5 movies with him. And when we did, I think we were prepping Pen and Gain. And at that time, he made a deal with Universal and Blumhouse to shoot a very macro budget movie. And he wasn't sure who those people were. And he asked me, why don't you shoot this? Meet the director. I just want to have someone that I know.
Yeah.
And I did it, and that movie was The Purge.
Why do you end up choosing the Venice 2 over, other systems that you could go for?
2 reasons. The sensor, love the sensor, love the color science of it. I think it's an amazing sensor. And then when I got to shoot Gran Turismo, the Sony Venice 2 came out, and that was a no-brainer for me. And Sony was very kind to give us the prototype of the Rialtos for that project. I needed to put the cameras in a very small cockpit, and I needed to put as many cameras as I could in that cockpit for mechanical reason. You never know how long those cars are gonna last before they start breaking up.
So you gotta get a bunch of angles.
As much as possible. The other element, the only reason why was the internal NDs. You have car going at full speed. I'm trying to control exposure. And that was with the constant changing of cloud and sun and so forth. So the internal NDs was very much a strong reason why to go with the Sony Venice 2.
Thanks so much, Jacques, for
Absolutely.
for
Good
telling
luck.
me a little bit about the Venice 2.
Good
Appreciate
luck.
it.
I'm like, turn around, let me see your
It was so fun shooting on the Venice 2 and Rialto system. It was really bringing back the itch to start DPing more. So let's see what happens.
Is this better?
Now it looks better.
Oh, now it looks better because you're filming. I see how it is. I see how it is.
You are in the frame.
First time using the Rialto. It's pretty good. It's nice. I feel sorry for you having to carry the camera around and follow me, but I love this whole chain of people we got going on. It's so good. So let me get this right.
Yes.
You choose the Venice 2 over all of the other cameras that you could go for because we got full frame Super 35,
Yes.
dual ISO. We got the Rialto system size. 8K, right? 8K?
8K.
8K, we got slow motion up to 120 frames per second.
That's correct.
Basically, everything you need for every situation.
And on top of that, I can match with other cameras like FX3, FX6 for drone work.
Exactly,
And then I also
yeah.
can use the Venice 1.
I'm honestly surprised at how many people use the FX3 for just those certain
Oh, no,
searches. This is the
use-
perfect combo.
Perfect. FX3 with the Tico Vision, it looks amazing.
Of course, with the Tico Vision, everything looks good with the Tico Vision. Dude, thanks so much for showing
thank
me
you.
and teaching me a little bit about real filmmaking, real cinematography.
you-
So what should we shoot together?
I think you mentioned to me you had a project for me, huh?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I have the camera ready to go.
Yeah, let's go. All right, let's go.
Vámonos.
Let's go.
Thanks Sony and Tico and everyone else for showing me the Venice 2 and why it's such a popular camera in Hollywood right now. Who knows, maybe we'll shoot a movie on it.
All these movies, shows, shot on Venice.